We are back with a Fox News alert. Today, American Airlines will resume flights from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan Washington National Airport. Less than 2 days after that deadly crash, all as dive crews search for answers in the Potomac River. And we learn more about the victims that have been identified. Madeleine Rivera, live in Arlington, Virginia, with the details. Maddie.
Good morning, Todd. Several of the victims' family members arrived here in D.C. yesterday, where they got a briefing from the National Transportation Safety Board. Many of the victims have still not yet been identified, but we do know that several of them were figure skaters, members of the Skating Club of Boston, coaches Evgenia Shishkova and Vadim Naumov, and teenage skaters Spencer Lane and Gina Hahn. Coaches Naumov and Shishkova were reportedly married. The group was returning from the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in Wichita, Kansas. Yesterday, the Skating Club of Boston held an emotional news conference in which they called Lane and Hahn the next generation of U.S. Olympians. We're also learning about some of the 4 crew members and passengers of the regional jet. 28-year-old Sam Lilly was the first officer in American Airlines 5342, and Ian Epstein was a flight attendant. Epstein's family released a statement to Fox last night saying, in part, Epstein loved being a flight attendant, but his true love was his family. Meantime, Wendy Schaefer was a passenger. She was a mother of 2 young children, her husband describing his late wife as the best wife, mother, and friend that anyone could ever hope for. Howard University here in D.C. saying one of their professors, Kia Duggins, also died in the crash. Justina Bayer and her 12-year-old daughter, Brielle, are also among the victims. We also know the identity of one of the U.S. Army pilots on the Black Hawk, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Andrew Eves. He was from Mississippi, and the state's Governor Tate Reeves mourned the loss of Eves on a post on X yesterday. Another one of the soldiers killed on the Black Hawk has been identified as Crew Chief Ryan O'Hara. He was from Georgia, and he graduated high school in 2014. Todd.
All right, Maddie, thank you. Residents in Wichita banding together, holding a prayer vigil for the victims.
We don't know what the day will bring, but we do know that when we come together as one, there is power in prayer, power in community.
This is a very difficult time. It's an international tragedy which has hit very close to home, to our home here in Wichita.
We don't know what's coming next, and time together should be precious.
You just heard from Reverend Ben Staley of the Chapel Hill United Methodist Church, who was there helping families as they arrived at the Wichita airport on Wednesday night, and he joins me now. Ben, can you even put into words what that was like, meeting with these families on Wednesday night when the news was so fresh?
Well, as you can imagine, when we all started watching the news, we were all just stunned. And as I was watching the news, I realized that this is Wichita. This is us. These are our neighbors. Our mayor and council members were at the airport, and I heard that families were arriving. And American Airlines had set up some volunteers to meet with families. And so I was drawn by their need of hope. You can imagine how there really are no words. But at the same time, we are told when there are no words, the Lord himself helps articulate the longings of our heart to the Father. And I was drawn by their need of hope to go to the airport, to be with them. And when I got there, I met with those volunteer representatives to work with families, and then with Mayor Lily Wu and the council members, had an opportunity to pray with them, and then went to meet with a family member. This father, husband, was there waiting for word like all the rest of us. Many of the families stayed home because American Airlines was telling them to stay home and that they'd be contacted by the airlines. And so I did have an opportunity to pray with this father whose daughter was on the plane.
Oh.
And you can imagine everybody there at the airport just waited in stunned silence,
I can't imagine.
hoping. And it is hard to imagine.
Reverend,
And
thank you so much
yes.
for what you did. At a time like this, it is clear faith is so important to help us recover, because at a time like this, it's really all we have. Reverend Ben Staley, please, we will keep your community in our hearts and prayers. Please continue doing the important work.
Thank you so much.
you
We
do.
appreciate the prayers of all the country.
Understood.
Thank you.
And they will continue.